welcome to a new season of LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I am so happy to be back as your host, Bronagh Morgan, and been hosting the show, I think, 3 years now, and what a pleasure it is to talk to Londoners like my own ward councillor, Corrine Rahman, Ward 7. Thank you for coming, and thank you for tuning in again for this season. We have so many great stories to share with you this year. Hope you had a great summer. Let's get started with my own councillor, also former school board trustee. You've been involved in public service now for how long?
It feels like forever in so many different ways. But I would say, since I was in high school, I was involved as a volunteer. And, I tell people that my path to City Council began as a youth representative for the City Centre Revitalization Task Force in Windsor.
Wow.
When I was just finishing up high school, my last year OAC, do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And beginning university. And I was a member of that task force for about 6 years. And that's where I got the bug, where I became really interested in municipal politics. Outside of that, I volunteered on a number of campaigns politically from the age of 17 until, well, now. So, lots of experience in that as well. And so, yeah, I've been involved in the political process, but I say, I consider myself a reluctant politician. I got involved here in London. My first involvement was really with our school councils in where my kids go to school. I served 2 terms as a school council chair. And for those that aren't familiar with the school politics, this is in the parent and school environment. And through that process, I began to understand how school board politics worked. And so I decided to run in 2018 to serve on Thames Valley District School Board. At the time, I had 3 kids in Thames Valley, and excuse me, I was seeing lots of changes happening in our education system, and I knew that I needed to be involved and be a voice for our parents and for our kids and our students in school. And so, yeah, I put my name forward, and I ran in wards 2 to 6 and was successful and served until 2022 in that role.
And since 2022, Ward 7. So it's been a whole year, or just about a whole year, since you have been serving on London City Council.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, the election process and that decision was one of those moments where just a lot of things came together all at once. In 2022, I had a number of friends that were involved in politics and close associates and mentors that were calling me saying, hey, you should consider this. And they say that it takes, sometimes it takes women being asked 5 times. I can absolutely attest to that, because I think I tried to ask other people every time someone asked me. But it was finally something that I felt I had to do, and decided to run in Ward 7 after Josh Morgan, our mayor, announced that he was going to be running. There was an opportunity there to run in the ward where I lived, in the community that I love, and it was, stars aligning, but it does take a lot of hard work to win an election and to be involved in politics. In my case, we were out every single day from the day I launched my campaign.
I ran into you.
Right?
I was, I think, in my front yard, and I'm like, there she is.
Yep. And so we made it around the ward once. In some cases, we were able to get to some streets twice and sometimes 3 times. So we covered a lot of ground. What I was amazed and touched by was just the amount of volunteers that we were able to attract to the campaign, the number of students that came out from the high schools I had been involved in, from Western, from different courses I had been a mentor involved in, and then my students from Fanshawe that came out, and then my family. It was just such an energizing campaign, and reminded me why I was getting involved in doing this to begin with, which was, to be a voice for the local community and to put forward those interests that I had and help to make the city a better place. And so it was really an empowering moment, and then I won.
And congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So it's been about a year, but you still remember the campaign very well. And thanks for giving us a little bit of a snapshot of the campaign process. When you were at the doors, so you spent a lot of time talking to residents of Ward 7 during the campaign, what were the issues? What were they highlighting when you were talking to neighbors like me? And how are we doing on those things?
Great question. So what I would say is that what I was hearing at the ward were very localized concerns, excuse me, to people that live in Ward 7. So although some people were speaking very globally about concerns that they had about the environment and the economy, a lot of it was really basic services that they wanted to see in their local neighborhoods. So that was, excuse me, something that I noted that was very topical. A lot of conversations about how do we make things more accessible. And it really speaks to what right now I think that we're still hearing, and what I'm still hearing. What was very topical last summer was the response from police, for instance, when people were calling in with a concern. There were many times that we would hear from folks at the door about community centers and the need for more recreational programs for them and their family. So those were very local. And then I heard a lot from folks that wanted to see us do more for people in need in our community. So the conversations around health and homelessness were really getting started in 2022 with the whole of community. And so I think you were starting to see some of that excitement around this new approach. And that's been some of the work that has been really taking up a lot of the energy of council right now to really focus on how do we put forward a new solution, and how do we work together as a community to bring that into focus.
And that's interesting because Ward 7 it's a ward in the northwest, so it's kind of suburbia is what most people think of it. But it's nice to know that there are these similar issues that kind of everybody in the community cares about. They don't just care about that thing that's happening in my backyard.
Yeah, and it's a bit of that, but it's also a lot of education at this point as well. And I think that this year there's been a real focus from community organizations to better connect with the public. And I think there's a lot of willingness from residents as well to learn about what some of our neighbors are facing. And so you're seeing that willingness. Last week and this month, I've been at different engagement sessions around our homelessness hubs. And those conversations have been challenging at times, where there's been some really good dialogue. But I do think that what I'm hearing when I'm in those meetings and in those community engagements is the need for more information and the need for more participation from the community. You hear a lot from folks that want to get involved and they want to be part of a solution. And I think that there's an opportunity for that. And so I feel like we're coming up with a made in London solution, and it's involving the whole of the community, and there's going to be opportunities for the community to get involved and to take more action. And as you know, with the Fund for Change, there's great opportunity for people to contribute as well if they have the means to do so. We've seen a generous gift of $25 million, and the campaign is still going strong.
Fantastic. Obviously, that's something that is top of mind for so many Londoners and a lot of our viewers as well. Want to dive into that a little bit more after the break. So please stay with us. We'll be chatting with Corrine, Ward 7 councillor, former school board trustee, longtime politician since high school after this.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Carbon monoxide is a deadly gas you can't see, smell, or taste.
Homes with fuel-burning appliances and/or attached garages must have working CO alarms installed outside all sleeping areas.
Don't let the silent killer get you. Install working CO alarms today.
Do you have questions about menopause and the menopause journey? We've got you covered. Join us for the Modern Woman's Menopause Show, and hopefully we can give you some answers. And of course, my friends, don't forget to sparkle.
I've been volunteering about a little over a year now with Rogers. I decided to volunteer at Rogers TV because I wanted to get a better feel for what the industry was like and meet great people at the same time. I have learned the ins and outs of studio and mobile productions with various roles from cameras all the way up to audio, graphics, and replay. You will not regret a minute that you have spent with Rogers TV. The people that you will meet and the experiences that you will make, you will never forget. Being a volunteer with Rogers TV allows you to connect with the community even more than you have before. Rogers is a very special place here in southwestern Ontario with experiences like no other that you cannot find anywhere else.
You're watching Rogers TV.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV for Show of the Season. It's great to be back. I'm Bronagh, speaking with my very own ward councillor, Corrine. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's busy. This is early in September and back to school on everybody's mind, getting around the city on everybody's mind. It's got to be challenging. You know, I know it's challenging for me to get downtown from our part of town. Transit, Ward 7, getting people to the downtown, which is a wonderful downtown.
Yes, yes, absolutely. There's so much to do in our downtown, and I'm so grateful to all the community partners that have been activating the downtown. This summer was tremendous. If you think about what we've done in a very short period of time in our downtown, we just hosted the Association of Municipalities of Ontario conference here in London, and the delegates I talked to, they just had so many good things to say about our city. And it sometimes takes someone else's perspective to really, reflect on how you feel about your city. And I have to tell you, it felt really good to host that conference here and to get to show off the City of Music.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I was doing art on Dundas Place one of the days that people were milling about, all the people that were attending that conference from the different cities. And I heard, across the board positive reviews as well. Like people just had no idea. It's almost like when I first moved here, it was about 20 years ago. It's like, this is really one of Ontario's best kept secrets is London.
Absolutely. And I have to say, Ward 7 is quite special. We're, a very diverse, growing ward. We've got fantastic schools, great parks, just fantastic amenities. I feel very lucky to be able to serve on the Hyde Park BIA, which is a wonderful business association, improvement association, but also, they do so much for the community. And you think about all of the events and activities that they do.
So fun.
So much fun, and so many great opportunities to volunteer. And I have to, if you don't mind me plugging the Hyde Park Christmas Parade. I know they will be looking for volunteers this year. Parade date is November 25th. If you're available to help, please connect with the Hyde Park Lions because they will be looking for volunteers. Both groups have a great community breakfast. Hyde Park BIA is involved with that as well, the Santa Claus breakfast. And I know that's a wonderful event that takes place at Oxford Dodge. And so great opportunities for volunteers, and let me tell you, lots of fun flipping pancakes.
I used to live in Calgary. Stampede, pancakes all day long. Yes, it is. And you don't have to have special skills because, trust me, pancakes are not my strong suit. So yes, that's a wonderful volunteer opportunity.
I might have to call you in because last year it was a lot. It was a lot of pancakes. So.
Okay, I'm on it.
Yeah.
Corinne, what else have you been up to as a city councillor? Because I know city council work obviously involves what we sometimes see on TV, which is sitting around the horseshoe. What other work does a city councillor do? I know there's a lot of committees that you serve on.
Yes, so I chair our Civic Works Committee, so I am very pleased to have that opportunity. It's been great so far to be able to tackle some of the issues that are coming through Civic Works. We're all very excited to begin the work on the Master Mobility Plan, which will be coming through Council in 2024. So that's exciting. And then I also sit on our CAPS committee, CPSC, and that we've had some very interesting conversations in this term already at that committee. So, you know, those are really great opportunities to get involved in the city as well through public participation meetings, through participating or attending committee meetings. And I'm also fortunate to be able to sit on London Hydro, which is another great board in the city doing great things.
That sounds like a full-time job.
It does, doesn't it?
So in your, I guess, whatever little time that you have outside of council, outside family life, and outside of coming to visit us, what was Corinne before?
Well, I'm still a professor at Fanshawe, so that's a big part of what I do. I'm at the London South campus and I teach in the business management program, and I love the opportunity to connect with students every term. My students are entirely international, so I also get the opportunity to connect with them from where they're from and experience through fresh eyes how they see our city, which is fantastic. They're all so happy to be here and to get involved, and one of the things I've had the opportunity to do is connect students with volunteer opportunities through the work that I'm doing. So they come out to some of my events. They've been great volunteers with the Hyde Park BIA, which is fantastic. And I like to be able to do that, to make those connections, and happy to do that for youth that are looking for their volunteer hours and connect them with some of the great resources that we have in our community. And I have to say, we're very lucky in the Northwest to have the Northwest London Resource Centre, which has fantastic opportunities for youth that are, you know, exciting and different, from cooking classes and from volunteering in the community to just a host of things that they do for fun. So we're very lucky to have them as well.
It sounds like there are so many opportunities for people to get involved. And you've been, it sounds like, been seeking these kind of opportunities out since you were a youth. So what is it about public service and getting involved in serving your community, whether it's as a volunteer, whether it's as a trustee, a politician, getting involved in these different committees? What is it what's your favorite part about being a public servant?
I would say my favorite part is being able to help people solve problems. And, you know, sometimes that's a long, drawn-out process, and sometimes it's just done by a phone call. I think communication is really key to how we make change, and a lot of the times change can happen just from simple conversations. I love the conversations that I'm having right now at this point in the term, which are a lot about, you know, finding ideas and synergies and talking to people that, you know, maybe I haven't interacted with before, and learning about them, their experience, and what they're bringing to this community, or what ideas they have for our community to make it better. So I think there's lots of great opportunities here in London. There's lots of opportunities for young people to get involved, and whether it's, you know, at the school level, whether it's in their community, there's just some fantastic things to do coming up this fall. I can share Reforest London is doing some tree plantings as well in the ward, which would be fantastic to have more youth out and involved in. And I just know that we're you know, very lucky to have the community that we have here, and we have to be good caretakers of the community, and I think that's why service is so important.
So connecting with you sounds like you really have your finger on the pulse of a lot of opportunities for people to get engaged, whether it is with their political life, whether it's with their government, or in all these different areas, because there's a lot of need. So I know that when I, send an email to your office, I hear back, and here you are today. How do people get in touch with you, and how do we find out about these kind of opportunities?
Absolutely. So happy to take a phone call on my cell phone, and my cell phone number is available on the city website. My email, crahman@LdnOnt.ca, and of course on all the social channels as well. So please reach out if you have any questions. And I am still out canvassing this year, so talking to neighbors at their doors. So for any young people that are looking for some volunteer hours, always happy to have them come out with me and show them the ropes.
And what do you hear from young people that you're engaging with? Like, how are they finding maybe your performance as a politician, or maybe getting involved with your campaign?
It's great because you get really honest dialogue, and when we go to the doors and we're talking to folks this summer, for instance, the conversation has been wonderful. They've been really honest about what they're hearing, and they've been really candid about the fact that sometimes these conversations can be challenging, and a lot of times they're standing there listening while I'm talking to a resident who has questions, and so I think that's the best way to learn, right? It's the best way to learn. So if you're interested in politics, I say find somebody that you think that you align with and offer to help them, and go out and experience what they're experiencing. And so that if this is a path for you. We have to engage more in politics. We have to get people involved. And service is really important to our community. So I hope that people will take me up on the offer.
I hope so too. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. We do have to take one more break, and we're going to be hearing from, as we always do, a young person for our last segment, and getting their perspective on politics, all things political life, and a little bit about academic life. So please stay tuned for more LdnOnt TV after this.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Hello, I'm Liz Dowdswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. In 2008, carbon monoxide, a deadly invisible gas, killed an entire family in our province. That tragedy led to a new law requiring homes with potential CO sources to have alarms. John Gignac's family members passed away that day, and he shares his story to save others.
Please make sure you have working CO alarms in your home. Protect your family today.
Welcome to Treat Yourself on Rogers TV, where Terry and I go out to local salons and spas and have services done on us so that we can tell you all about them,
so that you can treat yourself.
Join us September 30th for the Yes I Can Gathering for Girls at Matthews Hall, a safe place for girls 12 to 14 to work through the tough stuff they face every day. Go to www.waymakerinc.ca for more information and to register.
You're watching Rogers TV.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. Finally, we get to the segment that a lot of people look forward to the most of all, which is when we get a youth perspective on some of the issues that we talked about with our main guest, or we talk about all over London. Leslie is somebody I met this summer working together at Glencairn Resource Center. Community Resource Center. As well, it's a couple of days into your master's program in political science at Western, so congratulations. Welcome back to school.
Thank you.
I know you've been listening to some of the things we've been chatting to Corrine about. Give us your take on that, all of the, getting involved as a young person in government and in the issues that you care about.
Yeah, for sure. As a student of political science, I feel like I'm obligated to say that civic participation, especially for youth, is very, very important because it is the best way to make your voice heard when it comes to the policy making process. But one thing I think doesn't get brought up often enough is that civic participation isn't just limited to voting. I think voting comes up a lot because it's the most direct way to sort of make your voice heard to legislators. But civic participation is also volunteering at your community resource center, maybe helping them with their community garden or with their art program like you have. And so if you think about how policies are made in response to conditions on the ground, getting involved in your community is directly affecting the conditions on the ground and by extension affecting the policies that are being made. And another thing that I think is also really important when it comes to civic participation, especially today, I'm just thinking about all the misinformation and the disinformation that's out there. I feel like sometimes we're not really on the same page. And so by getting out there and engaging with your community, I think it's really a great way to get on the same page with the people that you sort of share the neighborhood with, because
it's authentic conversations.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. It's about connecting to other humans. Because I think, like, especially with how like much of our lives is on the internet nowadays, at least mine is, it can sort of feel like far away, the issues that are, you know, near to you. So for example, like food insecurity, unfortunately, is very real in London. But as someone who is fortunate enough to not have to deal with that issue, if you read it, if like the term food insecurity keeps on coming up in the news, you sort of just see it as like another news article. But if you get yourself out there in the community and maybe volunteer with a program dealing with food insecurity, so say the Glencairn Community Resources Good Food Program, right? It's a way to see for yourself, like, what, I guess...
what it looks like to be food insecure.
Exactly.
And as well, to be able to affect the change.
Yes.
To actually have your hands involved in making the change that is needed.
Yeah, exactly it. Just connecting and getting out there.
There are ways to do it, and you've been a part of it, I've been a part of it, and it's not even just about making the change, it's making those connections, and it makes you feel great as well.
Exactly.
Because you have the opportunity to make friends and maybe end up developing a skill that you didn't even know you had, or an interest that you didn't even know existed, that could turn into art, which is a career for me now. And what's next for you, Leslie?
I guess right now I'm really interested in the intersection between AI and political psychology, because I don't think I can fit this in 5 minutes, but that just sort of goes back to getting on the same page.
Absolutely. Yeah, so important.
Hopefully more work on that.
I'm looking forward to maybe having you back to hear more about that, because 5 minutes goes by so fast, and I want to hear more about, because that's fascinating as well. And I'm sure our viewers would love to hear more. That's a pretty meaty topic, so can I get you committed to come back?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't that scary. I hope you enjoyed our conversations today. I hope you feel engaged like Leslie, like Corrine, to get involved. There are so many opportunities. I love the fact that we're back for another season of LdnOnt TV. Love being the host of this show, bringing you stories that you're interested in, things that people in London, Southwestern Ontario are talking about. Thank you for being a guest, and thank you for tuning in. See you again next week.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Mario Elia, and I'm the host of a new show here on Rogers TV that we're calling Keeping London Healthy with Dr. Mario. I'm a local family physician here in London, and I'm very excited to be working with Rogers TV on this new format, which will give us an opportunity to explore